Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey Two Finger. I'm back talking about scary movie season. It's October 20th. We're in the home stretch. Now, if you're an uncle, maybe you even have your own kids, avoid the temptation to show the kids 70s horror classics. And what I mean by this is, when I was a kid, there's nothing that I love more than watching Phantasm or The Shining. Uh, those movies could really make an impression, and I remember having it cross the line and just being terrified watching the first Friday the 13th movie in a rainstorm home alone. So you got to avoid that temptation because what you can do is really traumatize the children. And if they're not your own kids, you can end up getting in trouble for doing this. So avoid that temptation. And if you're going to want to enjoy some content with a mixed audience, you're better off leaning towards some Scooby Doo classic. And I've got another recommend for you, but I want to tell you my story. When I was dating my wife, and my wife's family, they weren't movie enthusiasts. Like in our house, it was like anything goes. Our folks would let us watch stuff that we probably shouldn't have been watching. My wife's family was more restrictive. So when we were dating, there was a pharmacy called Farmore, and they had these 69-cent movie rentals, and it kept getting cheaper. It was like, okay, you get two of these movies for 69 cents, and you can keep them for 2 days. By the end of it, I think I was getting five movies for 69 cents and keeping them for 4 or 5 days. And they had a huge video store within this pharmacy that was a department store. And I got to tell you, most of those movies were like slasher horror movies. Like their horror section was most of the video store, and it was large. So I rented a lot of that stuff, and we watched a lot of it. And you get kind of oversensitized, you get desensitized to the gore. Eventually, I got turned off to that. I really did. So we got to be careful. And at some point, I remember thinking to myself that it was smart, that it was time to expose my older daughter, Shrimpy. I was like, we're gonna watch Leprechaun because that's not that scary, right? The Leprechaun, me gold. That's not scary. And the other one was this Karen Black horror anthology movie called Trilogy of Terror. Has this one segment in it, and I was only gonna show her that one segment where it's a woman who lives in an apartment in New York, and she receives a little tiki doll as a gift. Now, this tiki doll has a spear and a little dagger, these teeth, and he comes alive, and they've pitch shifted the voice so it kind of chipmunks, and it's chasing her all around, and she's screaming. Karen Black does a great job. She gets really psychotic and fights the doll, throws it in the oven, and then of course she thinks, oh, I can go lay on the couch now, and then it comes back, and it's all smoking and charred. And so about 5 minutes into this thing, after the tiki doll comes alive, my daughter is flipping out. It's like, okay, hit the eject button and put the leprechaun in, and he's, me gold. Next thing you know, he's ripping somebody's throat out, chewing on the tendons, and my daughter was traumatized. She was sleeping in our room for a couple of months, and I was like, oh, that's enough, you're 14 now, And she would sneak into our room and sleep next to mom on the floor. So at this point, I'll be talking to she's like 30 or whatever, my daughter, and I'm like, hey, did you see that Jordan Peele movie? Nope. Because it's a big pop culture, it's a hit movie. And she's like, no, but my husband did. So he has to watch all this stuff alone. And I mean, maybe that's just because he's an asshole. I don't know, but I think it's because of that one night. It's interesting. She had a dream of a gray alien that she used to talk about right in that same time. So I'm sure that was something she was exposed to, but who knows? Maybe one of them, they were going to abduct her, and maybe they were peeking in through the window. I mean, I don't know. I just remember that was a big thing with her at that same period of time. So it was a triple threat. So the warning is you may think that you're going to be cool, be that hip uncle, and pop over onto YouTube and show the kids Gargoyles, that made for TV thing, or Planet of the Apes or something. Don't do it. Scooby Doo is as hardcore as you want to get, even for a 13 or 14-year-old, and especially if they've been sheltered. Like, let's say your sister is going to let you finally have the kids over. She needs a sitter. They're going to a party, costume party. Don't do it. Don't do it. Scooby Doo is as hardcore if you want to go. And there's another thing I could recommend. It's called Chicago, like Chicago, but Chicago Go. That's how you type it into YouTube. And it was a local access show that had a rat puppet for the cutesy, hi, I'm Ratso. And then Miss Mia is the co-host. And it was a dance party show that had garage punk music that was really good, danceable. It's just a really fun, like I've been watching Chicago Go. And a band, Negative Element, was on that show. They'll have a band on and they'll like lip sync. But those guys were my neighbors. I grew up next to that family. They were punk before most people knew what that was, you know. And I got to recommend Chicago. It's weird because it's the people dress up to some degree or another, and it's mostly like kindergarten to third grade. There might be some little older kids in there too, and then adults. And it's weird because it's not sexualized dancing. It's like really honest dancing, and it's a real diverse group of people. And I just really enjoy watching it. The music is great. Chicago, and they have these Halloween specials that are a half hour long. They're fantastic. The music is exceptionally good. And I really have been enjoying watching that. So as far as the scary movie stuff, there is a found footage. And forgive me, I know if you guys are regulars, you've heard me talking about this. VHS. Now, when you talk about find footage movies, the quality is real up and down. And then you have horror anthology movies, which is a chance for up-and-coming directors to come out and get a chance to direct a short film and expose it to a much wider audience that they would normally get. So the quality goes up and down. So what are we talking about here? Well, when you take a look at these movies, if it's on Rotten Tomatoes, you got to add about 20 points to the score to get a more accurate reading of how good is this movie. Or if it's on IMDb, just add 2.0 or 1.5 stars if it's a higher rating. If it's a lower rating, add 2. And that'll tell you, oh, this movie, it says it's a 3.1, it's actually about a 5. So even in the worst VHS movie, which is probably VHS viral, you're going to find something you're going to like. And the rest of the stuff will be entertaining. They have traditional or folklore horror elements. And then they have stuff that'll be more centric to like the idea of the medium, like this is directly relating to a VHS cassette. And, you know, talking about amateur directors and then the fact that they process this all to look like VHS with Moray lines and fuzz. So it's a really neat concept. There's the original one, the sequel, the one that I watched today is called VHS 99, and that takes place in Y2K. So, yeah, the first two are really great. And I think I prefer the second one. There is a haunted house segment that I absolutely loved. I kept rewinding that and watching it. And then there's this Polynesian or Taiwanese, some type of a culty compound with an Armageddon theme with a demon that I think that's in 2. That was incredible. Really, really a great segment. And when the shit hits the fan, boy, the shit hits the fan. Now, VHS Viral, I don't remember. I'm sure I watched it. 94, I'm not sure. I'm sure I watched it. I'm going to have to catch up on these, you know. But Today I watched VHS 99 and we got VHS 85 coming out. Now, I was prepared thinking VHS 99 is going to be not really worth it. I cannot recommend this movie more. If you're a horror movie fan, if you're willing to tack those extra 20 points or 2 stars on like I am because you're a fan of the genre, you're going to love it. You're going to love it. And the Bloody Disgusting is this website that deals with film, television, music, video games, everything. And it's also a production company, and they're the people behind this. So it is quality stuff. It isn't. It seems to be a little bit of a notch above. Like the VHS is always like really good. This 99 one had some elements in it which were very appropriate for the time, being Y2K. So we have the big scare of the virus, the Y2K bug, and then there was a computer thing, and also like a Jackass type television. Younger adults who are pranking and this type of Jackass thing. And then another, I don't know if you remember that Nickelodeon was, see, this is a little bit, I was too old, but I remember it because I had a younger brother. They would have these shows, like game shows with slime and like disgusting challenges. So there's that type of stuff, and it's really creative and it's implemented very well. And I'm recommending it. VHS 99. If you've seen the other VHS stuff, if you haven't, well, you've got a week of scary movie nights to check this stuff out. And if you have any of your own recommendations, I would love to hear those below. But remember my warning, don't be that guy who traumatizes the kid for life and ruins anything remotely scary by, oh, you never saw Gremlins, to the 16-year-old kid, and then all of a sudden you find out that, they've got to put him on Xanax because of Spike. So be careful. Be really, and like I said, Scooby-Doo is as far as you want to go. And you don't even know about that. The best thing to do, like, let's say your sister is going to let you babysit finally because her and her husband are going to that costume party. Ask them. Say, hey, would you mind? We're going to watch a couple of episodes of Scooby-Doo, and then there's a show that Petey recommended called Chick-a-Go-Go, which is a dance party, And they can let you know. Because when it comes to other people, life has a way, this stuff can find its way to you. You're fragile, you're young. Maybe you got your heart broken and you'll find Pink Floyd, and that music can help you through that dark time. And horror movies are the same thing. People have traumatic, horrible things happen to them in their childhood. They'll suffer some loss. And this is a way that people deal with stuff. So it's one thing for this stuff to find its way to you through your own volition. But when someone else implements that, someone like this guy, like what I did with my own daughter, can really end up screwing the pooch, and one of my big regrets. So be careful, be careful, be careful. Hug your pets, stay warm. And boo. Peace.